Good afternoon, everybody. John here at Havoc Maker Studio, hoping you're having a fantastic Wednesday. I most certainly am, because once again, I am alive and I've got great news that just kind of keeps rolling downhill, at least in regards to the gaming world, the tabletop gaming world, that is, not the electronic one. So, first up, I want to at least point out that yes, I'm going to be talking about Marvel Crisis Protocol, but that's not it. So as I'm delving into some other games, starting next week, we're going to be covering, well, different games. So we're going to get into that in just a moment, but at least want to cover a bunch of Marvel Crisis Protocol news. So we already know that CP81 featuring Supergiant and Black Swan is going to drop. That's going to round out the Black Order. So we'll have really all 7 models of the Black Order. Yay, fantastic. Unless, of course, Marvel Comics puts out a new version of the Black Order later on down the line with some new characters. But at the least, at the very least right now, sometime between today and the end of June, barring any sort of global shipping issues, we will see CP81 drop. We also know that the terrain kit, let's jump over real quick. The Quinjet terrain kit that has not dropped yet is supposed to drop release date by June 30th, 2022. I don't know if this has been pushed back. I haven't seen pre-orders popping up at local stores. So if anybody has extra news on this, please let me know. I mean, it's not like this is a critical piece of miniatures or models that I need, or I don't think anybody really needs, but I think it's just a really cool set piece and I would like to be able to get my hands on it. I don't buy a lot of terrain, but I think this is going to be one of those that I'm going to buy. So at any rate, if you guys know anything, please let me know. Drop me a line in the comments below. So let me go back here. Let's take a look at the upcoming CK14, the organized play kit, Hell to Pay. So I covered this about a month or so ago when I got word of it from a little birdie. So I was super excited that we got another Ultimate Encounter coming, or an organized play kit. We know that a couple websites had it up for sale or up for pre-order. Since then, we know it's supposed to come out sometime between now and the end of Q2. It originally said it was supposed to be on pre-order come June. So is that going to happen? I don't know. Just like the Quinjet, just like Supergiant and Black Swan, we have no idea, guys, when exactly it's going to roll out. It's going to be on pre-order. Actually, I think it's on pre-order right now, even on through Asmodee's official page now. When is it going to drop? I don't know. They're very bad about that. Like, hey guys, it's going to be released on this date. And then those dates get changed. We went through that whole process with the last couple groups of models since January. The dates kept getting pushed around. We know it's coming, so we can rejoice with that. All right. So what do we know about this? It is an Ultimate Encounter featuring Hela. Now there is a set out there with featuring Hela and Loki in it, that box set. So if you don't have it, I'm going to recommend that you get it if you want to run this game, or hopefully somebody else has Hela. So will you need Hela? Most likely. Looking at the fact that we have an Ultimate Encounter card for her, we got a variety of tokens, and who knows what the Bifrost location tracker is. But this is definitely going to be, I think, a fun one. It's going to be, it looks like our first organized play kit with grunts. If you can see at the bottom there, we have the Cursed Dead. They have their own grunt card. I mean, it's smaller than the other grunt cards. It looks like it's just the same size as all the other cards, but it definitely has the stats that the grunts do. So we can see that it is got 2 health. It has no movement, so I'm not sure what that's about. And then it's size 2, 3 defense for physical, energy, and mystic. I can't quite make out the text. I don't have that great of eyes, and then let alone great software to really clean that up. But it's definitely a grunt card. It looks like players, those that participate, you as usual, you'll get there's probably enough in there for 8 people. You'll get the set of cards. You basically get everything there is what you're seeing, minus the little rule book that always comes inside of it. Everybody usually gets the tokens, the ultimate encounter card, and the tactic cards or whatever else comes along in it. Usually alternate art cards. So I have no idea what's going to happen. All I know is that we're trying to stop her from doing something very naughty. More on that once one of my contacts gets back with me with hopefully some snapshots of the cards, or at least preferably what I asked for was how the scenario plays out. So at least if I can get some bit of information, I'll take anything. So anyways, let's move on. So before we delve into other games, I want to talk about C27 Minis and Terrain. One of my favorite Patreon 3D sculpting companies out there. They have been cranking out high quality models, followed by there's another company called Trident Studios doing a pretty good job. They're just proportions seem a little off, usually around their head area, and then their waists are ridiculously tiny. And then there's like Nuclear Firefly, who I would say 1 out of 5 models really does a good job. My two favorites that they've done so far is the Gwenpool and the Lady Thor, Thor, Jane Foster Thor. There we go. They've done a very good job with those two. In fact, I bought the Jane Foster version of Thor, female Thor, Lady Thor, the Mighty Thor, whatever she's called. I purchased that model, painted it up. It's in my collection right now. I really enjoy that model. Anyways, C27 Minis and Terrain has got a special place in my heart because they are the ones that get it right. I would say at least 95% of the time. And I think I'm kind of I'm lowering that just to be fair. I'd say they're about 98% the time they get it right. And usually if there's something wrong with it, it's a personal aesthetic choice versus something they've done. So we have their May miniatures we know that are going to be coming. We know that it's going to be Taskmaster. It's going to be Snowbird from Alpha Flight. We got Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four. Another version of Peter Quill, Star-Lord. And I think this is the better costume. I like this costume versus the current one that they have him with the trench coat and everything. Now I want to buy, well, depending on what the model looks like, but now I want to actually buy Star-Lord. Then we got Boom Boom, which is cool, which is interesting because she's going to be popping up in an upcoming new series called The Exterminators, which is an old title that the original founding members of X Factor went by before they went to X Factor, or is it after they went to X Factor? At some point when they were X Factor, the Exterminators are linked to that way back in the day, and then they just kind of faded into obscurity. And now with a bunch of stuff that's going to be dropping with the war between the Avengers, the Eternals, and the X-Men, the Exterminators are going to come onto the scene as the group dynamics are going to get remapped in all the X titles. So next up we have Sauron and Venom. Blink, which people really like Blink. She's just another teleporter to me. She's definitely a lot more pleasing to the eye than, say, Nightcrawler, but she's a fan favorite. We got Namor, which is good because we already got the Thing. We've got now Mr. Fantastic, and if Marvel is going to crank out Fantastic Four, because that should be a big release. I'm imagining that's what June is about. Is Fantastic Four. They probably put out a Namor, and they'll probably put out a Doctor Doom. That would be an awesome set. Namor and Doctor Doom together. That would be pretty badass. And then the one that I've been kind of pining after, and actually we did a video last week or the week before. Check that out when we were kind of speculating on what Jessica Jones, that's who that in the bottom right is, what her powers, what her stats, everything are going to be. I have a feeling we're going to see her this year. She'd be perfect to round out the defenders and kind of the street level, the mainstream, I guess, street level characters. And since Disney Plus has all the MCU Netflix shows on there now, or they will be on there now if they're not on there now, there's talks that Rittenhouse, I think Kyle, no, not Rittenhouse. Man, I can't think of her name. Anyways, the wonderful young lady that played Jessica Jones is going to be reprising her role. Just a rumor. So it was perfect timing. I'm hoping they'll get it right. Usually C27 gets the female models right. And there's one group out there, I can't think what the name of the sculptors are. And full credit to anybody that's out there that does the 3D sculpts to turn them into miniatures and STL files and all this stuff. I understand it is difficult, and kudos to your level of talent. But right now, there's a company out there, and I don't want to just kind of randomly say names because I'm probably going to get it wrong. But there's somebody out there who's got a version of Jessica Jones right now, and I'm just like, no. It just looks weird. Her butt's she's like in a weird you can't see my stance here, but she's like a weird, like crouching, not crouching, but like almost like a ready to fight stance, but she's squat low. Her butt and her back are like at a weird, everything's at a weird angle, weird proportions. But C27 Miniatures gets the proportions right, I would say 99.9% of the time. So I suspect they're going to get it right. And hopefully the jacket, if she's wearing a jacket or trench coat, it's a little bit more fitting. Even though I really love what they did with the Tuxedo Moon miniature, the back of his jacket just seemed, there was something off about it. And I should probably put that in the on their Patreon, just a suggestion, just to, I don't know, it's like the cut isn't right. I don't know. Anyways, I'm trying to be positive here. They also have a Grunt Base coming for Goons. I don't know why this picture's out of whack here, but for the Goons, so it'll be a 3-model Grunt Base, which will be good because if we get Tombstone or like Hammerhead or some other obscure villain that usually has like goon squads with them or mobsters, this will be great. I think this will also be great just as a random Grunt Base. Then we have Cosmo, the canine astronaut or cosmonaut. You've probably seen him in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. He was the Collector had him. I think we've seen him twice in the end credits and during the actual play. So the movie. So really cool that we're going to see that. At any rate, that's all I've got for Marvel Crisis Protocol. Let's move on before this gets too long here. So the other games that, at least one that I'm focusing on, I've got my Greyjoy starter set. I've read through the rule book for the Song of Ice and Fire probably about a half a dozen times now, if not more. I've got the app, so the War Council app, so I can read on the go. In fact, when I go to the doctor's office today for some x-rays and MRIs, I'm going to sit there and be reading the rule book while I'm waiting for my turn, and probably when I'm trying to swig that barium, whatever that chalky imaging juice that they give you. I can't say it's juice, but it's more like soup or oatmeal. I'm not even sure how to describe it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. If you've ever had MRIs done, you had to drink the goo. Oh, anyways, I'll be reading the rule book. Help me get through it, and plus, I want to know as much as I can about the game. But it looks really good. A group of my friends up here now in the Dallas area, they all have their starter sets, or they did the Kickstarter years ago and just been waiting for people to play. And since this game is starting to pop up in popularity and starting to show up at more events, more local store events, more conventions, or just conventions themselves, gaming conventions centered around just of Ice and Fire by itself, kind of like what you see with Warhammer 40,000 or Age of Sigmar. It's starting to happen now with Song of Ice and Fire. And I'm really excited about that because the game looks good. It's not Games Workshop. Really easy, relatively easy to play. A lot of strategy and tactics, and though involved. And the miniatures look great, and it's an incredibly inexpensive game to get into when you look at other games. So, more on that in the very near future. Actually, next week I'm going to get my first game in, and we're going to do a review on that. So, moving on real quick here, the review embargo for Death in Space has been lifted as of yesterday. So the video that I've got set aside for Death in Space, doing a review of this RPG that's now available for purchase from Free League, especially, we're going to be covering it either later on today or tomorrow morning. I think it's a kind of a cool RPG, not the best in the world, but it's got some really good, really fast pacing. It's definitely a deadly game in regards to player character death. So just be prepared for this. I think it's a good game, and at the very least, I would go as far as to say, if you were ever wanting to have a nice basis for a core mechanic system, right now, this is just my 2 cents. Looking at the very core game mechanics of Death in Space is a good starting point for making your own RPG. More on that later. Speaking also about games from Free League Publishing, Symborum 5e. Now, you guys have heard me talk about Symborum and Symborum 5e, or Ruins of Symborum 5e, a lot. I'm a big fan of the Symborum, or Symbaroum, however you want to pronounce it. Even though it's Symbaroum, I will always likely say Symborum. The game, the core mechanics for this game are probably the best RPG I've ever played in, 3 decades, 90s, 2010, 4 decades, 40 years. Oh my gosh, about 40 years now. God dang. 40 years of playing RPGs. This is probably the best core mechanic system. Now, they went ahead last year, did a Kickstarter for 5e. Because let's face it, even though Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition it's not the best system out there, but it's the easiest to get into, and it's the most widely played. You should be able to find a 5e game at virtually any store. You jump onto your local Facebook page or Discord, and you'll go, hey guys, I'm looking for a group. I've been playing this long. I want to do 5e. Boom, you're in. Very easy to get into. And it's a very easy game, but it's still lacking substance. It's very cookie cutter RPG. And that's not to say that it's bad writing. It's just very tropey, it's very typical. It's exactly what you'd expect. Now, Symborum is a darker, grittier game, and it is a challenge for players and GMs, not because of because it's got weird mechanics. We're talking about the 5e here. It's just that the setting itself is so unique and so wonderfully terrifying that it is a challenge to, like I said, the players and the GM. You have to worry about other NPCs. You have to worry about creatures and monsters. You have to worry about politics. And you have to worry about the environment itself. The environment is just as dangerous, if not more so, than your local cutthroats or big giant monsters. What I do like about the Symborum also for 5e and the regular system, but really let's focus on the 5e part. They've included a social challenge portion in the 5e book. It's just a couple pages where it's a lot more in the core books. That goes to show you how much role-playing 5e really goes towards. Really, 5e doesn't put a whole lot of emphasis on role-playing, I'm sorry to say, unless some new book has come out. Now, that's just a personal review of it. At any rate, they do a good job of bringing that forward. And this Game Master's Guide that comes with Symborum, if you don't buy anything else, I would say as a GM or a DM for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and we're going to be doing a full review on all three of their core books, the Game Master's Guide for this game is ideal for any 5e dungeon master out there, or game master, whatever you want to call it. Their Game Master's book is, I would say, the must-have out of anything in there. If you're going to get anything, get that. Now, here's something cool about both Death in Space and the Ruins of Symborum 5e. If you order now for the physical copy, you'll get a PDF shortly after. Usually within, I would say about 5-10 minutes, you get an email giving you a link to probably Drive Through RPG. And so you can already get it, delve into it while you wait for the book to drop. Now, the book for Symborum, Ruins of Symborum 5e, is going to launch officially on June 7th, but you don't have to wait to get the book. Well, to get the physical book, yes, but the PDF, no, you can get it right now. I highly recommend this. I know there's a lot of 5e players. I know I'm bagging a little bit on 5e, but if you love 5e, please stick with it. It's your favorite game. You enjoy it. I'm just going to highly recommend this setting, and at the very least, the Game Master's Guide for your games. This is going to be, I don't think you're going to regret it. I honestly would almost put money on it that you wouldn't regret it, but I don't have a lot of money, so I can't really put money on it. But I think if you do this, you delve into this, you won't look back. You will enjoy the hell out of this game. Anyways, my name is John. This is Havoc Maker Studio, and I will talk to you a little later with a couple more reviews and previews of upcoming games later on today and tomorrow. See you guys later.